Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. It's time for another tank review, and I've had these British tanks for long enough. It's about time I got off my ass and finally started actually reviewing them. Just a quick word of caution before we start, however. I am suffering from a little bit of a cold at the moment, so if my voice sounds a little bit weird, that's the reason why. So, Cromwell Tier 6 British medium tank, and I think this thing is fantastic. So, you know, there's a spoiler for you. This is going to end up being a very positive review. This thing plays a lot like at Tier 6, a sort of British version of the Russian T-34 Tier 5 medium tank. It's very, very, very quick. It doesn't have a lot of armour, and it's got a very, very dangerous rapid-firing gun. I think this thing is utterly, utterly amazing. I'm not very good at driving it. It's a little bit too fast for me. You have to think a bit faster than I'm capable of doing when you get into the sort of situations that this tank can get into very, very, very quickly. It's just one of those. It's one of those machines that I love it. I really do, but I'm not as good in it as I could be. And it's one of those machines that I wish I was a bit better, because you can absolutely kick ass in this machine. It is fantastic. As you're going to see in some of the replays later on. But quickly, the stats. Tier 6 medium tank with 750 hit points. Well, I suppose I certainly have. One thing I am not short of is Tier 6 medium tanks. So let's have a look at my Germans. There we go, there's the Panzer IV's. 730. The 361H is going to have more, because, well, then again, only 760. But then again, I only have the stock turret on my 361H, so it's going to lose some health there. Stock turret because I use the Conish gun. What about the Americans? Got plenty of American Tier 6 mediums. The Sherman Jumbo, 760. The Easy 8, 750. So, health-wise, yeah, right on the money. Cromwell has 750 hit points. It's no better or worse than any of its competitors. It's a very, very light tank, however. Weighs under 30 tons, 28.38 tons with my equipment setup, and it has a 650 horsepower engine. Power weight ratio on this thing is fantastically good. It is so quick, and I don't just mean the top speed, and the top speed is fantastic, 64 kph. The acceleration, the handling, absolutely everything about it. It seems that the tracks have very, very, very good ground resistance. Again, this is not a number you're going to see on an official website or anything anywhere. It's certainly not on the stats here in the garage. But the way this thing grips the ground, it gets off to speed from a standing start really, really quickly. It manoeuvres very, very well. It's just such a manoeuvrable tank. Traverse speed as well, 36 degrees. That's pretty damn good. And the turret turns at 48 degrees per second. When you get a tank as fast as this, with a turret that turns as fast as that, you just, oh, give me an isolated heavy tank that I can circle. Or a tank destroyer. Because you're never going to miss. You can keep that turret pointed at them while you're zipping around them, and they're frantically trying to turn their big, slow, heavy turrets, or rotate their big, slow, heavy tank destroyer around, and just pummel them, and they don't have a chance of hitting you. Now, there is a downside, of course. You can't have this fantastic manoeuvrability and speed while still having great armour, and the Cromwell definitely does not count as a very well-armoured tank. From the front, on the hull, 64mm, and you know there are weak spots, but when your front hull armour is only 64mm thick, weak spots don't matter anyway. You just, you know, people are going to penetrate you. The sides and rear are only 32. The turret is better, but still bad. 76mm on the front of the turret, 63 at the sides, 57 at the rear. So armour is definitely not this thing's strong suit. The view range is not great, but it's not terrible, 360 metres. The signal range is not particularly good either. A lot of people like to use their Cromwells as very fast and aggressive scouts, and they absolutely can do that. Even though it's a medium, it doesn't get the light tank's passive camo bonus while moving. Unfortunately, that 550 metre signal range is going to let you down if you're going to try to play the Cromwell like that, and a lot of the time you're going to have to fight and kill what you come across yourself, because nobody else will be able to see them due to your shitty signal range. However, the gun. Oh, baby, the gun. That 75mm Vickers high velocity gun. You get a choice of weapons, quite a spectacular choice of weapons on the Cromwell actually. and none of them are that bad. The stock weapon, the quick-firing 6-pounder Mark III, is okay. It's 105 mils of penetration, very low damage output though, 75 millimeters. The accuracy is bad, but the aiming time is really, really good. And having 0.41 accuracy, yeah, it is bad, no question about it. But you don't really use this thing for long-range work anyway. You know, you get up close, personal, circle, and pound them to death, so it's not that much of a drawback. Next, you've got a 3.7-inch howitzer, which is, you know, it's a howitzer. They're all pretty much alike. Next gun up, quick-firing 6-pounder gun Mark V. 110 millimeters of penetration. It's not that much better than the original 6-pounder. Still the same 75 damage, slightly more accurate. Rate of fire is off the charts though, 26.09. This one, 26.09, pretty much the same. Then you get your first 75mm gun, and things are starting to look a bit better. Although, again, it's a bit of a trade-off. You gain a lot more damage, 110, but you lose penetration. Penetration drops down to 91, so it's as if the numbers swap around. And again, you've still got that horrible accuracy, but the aiming time is fantastic. 1.9 second aiming time. But this thing up here, this is the sweet spot. Suddenly, the accuracy becomes really, really good. Now, the trade-off is you lose a bit of aiming time, but 2.3 seconds is still all right. The rate of fire drops even further. It's down to 15 rounds per minute. But 15 rounds per minute, again, is still pretty good. The penetration leaps up to 145, and you get more damage, 135. The DPM on this tank is very, very, very good. You will see, when I mouse over it, 2077 damage per minute at tier 6. That's great. It's nothing special for tier 6 mediums though. If you were to look at the Americans, bear in mind this thing does 2077. With that M1A2 gun that the American tier 6 mediums get, they get 2091. These machines are, again, they're all about the DPM. Way better than the German mediums. 361H, even with a Konish gun, only gets 1900 DPM. The Panzer IV Schmaltern with the L70 75mm, even less, 1761. The trade-off with these guys is that they, well, let's have a look. Even better accuracy, even better penetration, even better damage. They just lose out on the rate of fire. That's with the Konish. And the L70, well-documented gun, this thing. Slightly better accuracy, same damage, slightly better penetration. And again, it's because of the rate of fire. Unfair to compare them directly because these tanks play completely differently. The German mediums are more heavily armoured, certainly in the case of the 361H. And you get machines like the 3001P, which is all about... I mean, the 3001P isn't really a medium tank. It's got medium tank armour, but it's the size of a tiger. The Germans are just weird. The Russians, I don't think I actually have any tier 6 Russians, and I got rid of my T-3485. Sorry, can't compare directly, but the T-3485 plays kind of a lot like the Cromwell as well. It's quick, it doesn't have great armour, and it's got that rapid-firing 85mm gun. So, but I don't know what it is about the Cromwell. It's just... I mean, the Americans are good, don't get me wrong. I like the Americans are great. The Jumbo is pretty mobile, but not that mobile. But it's got great armour at the front. The Easy 8 is fantastic. It's so fast and nippy, but it's nowhere near as fast as the Cromwell. 48 km per hour top speed limit for the Easy 8. But the gun is very, very, very similar. The Cromwell is kind of like an Easy 8 on crack. It's just so much faster and more manoeuvrable. It's a great... I'm looking at the wrong one. That's the Comet. I can tell by the turret. There you go. It's just such a fast machine. Equipment fit, well, because it is so fast and because speed is life when you're in this thing, I've gone with enhanced suspension to increase the hit points of the tracks so that this thing doesn't get its tracks blown off, pinned in the open and killed as often as it would otherwise. I've also gone with improved ventilation, just to, you know, Improved ventilation, 5% is a great choice. It's always a great choice. 5% on all of your crew skills. So it's the commander's spotting range, it's the gunner's accuracy and his reload, it's the driver's handling of the tank, the way it accelerates, and so on and so on. It loads the gun faster. The radio operator can communicate slightly further, and so on and so on. It's just all-round good stuff. And of course, a gun rammer. Any other choices available to this thing that are useful to have? Yeah. Coded optics, not a terrible idea at all. Definitely, and I have some spare coded optics sitting in my depot. It's interesting. I might have to have a think about that. Yes. Anyway, yeah, coded optics, good idea. Toolbox, bloody expensive, and just not getting hit in the first place is better than sitting around spending 500,000 credits to get your tracks up faster. I think a better option than a toolbox would be the suspension, the enhanced suspension, and just not getting shot at. Anything else? No, that's pretty much it, really. I don't really see anything else on there that would be especially useful to fit, certainly not for the price. An enhanced gun lane drive, it increased the aiming time, but the aiming time is only 2.3 seconds, and you shouldn't be sitting still with this thing when you're shooting anyway. If only this thing could fit. The Comet can. The Comet can fit a vertical stabilizer. Oh, yeah. The Cromwell sadly cannot. If only this thing could fit a vertical stabilizer, I would whack one on there in seconds without even thinking about it. Unfortunately, it can't. So my choice of enhanced suspension, vents, and gun rammer, that's it's what I would go for. That's what I have gone for. But that's why. So, crew skills. I have to admit to being... I'm not really sure about the crew skills for this thing. What you can see I've got here is I've basically got snapshot on the gunner, I've got smooth ride for firing on the move, because that's the way this thing plays. If only I could fit a vertical stabilizer, I'd be in hog heaven with this thing, but you can't. So I've gone for other things that enhance firing on the move, and that of course is snapshot and smooth ride. And everybody else I've just given them camo, and I feel like I'm wasting the crew points by giving them camo. But what else are you going to spend it on? Well, if we have a look at the commander, I mean, if I could give the commander 6 cents, I'd give the commander 6 cents, but it needs to be 100% before it works. So I've stuck camo on while I'm grinding it up. That will become 6 cents as soon as my camo skill reaches 100. Eagle Eye, again, it's a perk. It needs to be 100%. So we're looking at Mentor for increased XP on the rest of the crew. We're looking at Recon for increased view range, which wouldn't be a terrible idea. And that's pretty much it. So, yeah, okay, well, what about the radio operator? Well, the radio operator is pretty much the same deal. You can have increased view range, everything else. Signal boosting. Signal boosting wouldn't be a terrible idea, but it's not particularly useful. And pretty much everything else. Yeah. There's nothing that leaps out and says, yeah, take me. The loader, again, loader skills are garbage. I'll give him safe stowage as soon as that reaches 100%, but everything else is a perk. And not amazingly useful anyway. So, camo isn't useless. You can rush this thing forward, park it in a bush and sit there, lurking, waiting to strike. And camo will help with that. Repairs? Well, repairs again, not terrible. The thing with other than the really useful skills like smooth ride, off-road driving, stuff like that, snapshot, there isn't really anything that leaps out and says, pick me, that isn't a perk. So stuff like 6 cents for the commander, safe stowage for the gunner, fantastic. But you need to have them at 100% before they work. So I've just gone with camo for those situations where this thing is sitting still, waiting, choosing its moment to strike. Are any of the other skills as useful? Yeah, probably. But what you're really doing, for me anyway, with these skills, is you're just waiting for them to hit 100% so that you can swap them out for something that's more useful. Some of those perks, like 6 cents, and safe stowage for the loader. So there you go. Other than the driver and the gunner, there really aren't that many great crew skills available for the Cromwell crew. There's lots of good perks, but perks only take effect when they're at 100%. So just pick whatever you like, wait for it to get 100%, and then swap it out for a useful perk. That would be my advice anyway. Right, game time. So, first match, here we are. It's a very, very tier 8 game here on Himmelsdorf, and it's not actually the natural environment for a Cromwell, if you like. The Cromwell's a lot at tier 6, like the T-34 is for the Soviets at tier 5. It's fast, it's lightly armoured, it's got a very, very rapid firing, low damage output, but high damage per minute gun. And a city map, well, I'm not saying you can't do well in a Cromwell on a city map, but this is probably going to demonstrate why I love the Cromwell so much and why I'm not actually that good at it. Because you've got to move fast and think fast when you're driving a Cromwell on a map like this. Circumflex is there in his Cromwell. He's in his element. He just thinks so much faster than I do. Yeah. But this is not a bad game for me. Now we've spotted an easy 8, and I managed to get a shot into him without taking any damage. So looking at what the enemy team have, we can probably expect to see their Cromwell, maybe their KV-1Ss down here as well. There's their Cromwell. This guy was alright. I managed to miss, he puts one into me. I managed to bounce. He damages my tracks. I managed to miss, and on the move he manages to blow my tracks off, so I got out Cromwelled. So this is actually quite even. They've got 2 tier 6 mediums versus 2 tier 6 mediums down here, that we know of. And we've also got a KV-1S backing us up. There he is. I thought so. He's trying to push the cap far too early and hiding behind that building as cover. And we put some shots into him. KV-1S finishes him off. And now myself and Circumflexes are going to go around and take out that easy 8. And he's on fire and he's dead, which is nice. Now, we're not trying to cap here. It's far too early in the game to start capping. And we've spotted their artillery. Now there's an IS over there as well. So I'm sitting here, I'm not actually looking at the map, I saw the griller heading that way, but he's actually on the underside of the building, heading down the southern road. You can see it on the map there. So I was sitting there waiting for him to come round, and yeah, it didn't happen. But, you know, cautious, because I can see there's an IS coming around as well. And I don't know what happened to Circumflex's Cromwell. It looks like he just got Jagdpanther 2'd. There he is. Circumflexes took a big nasty hit from somebody, and that changes things. Jagdpanther 2, I mean, I have 617 health left. Jagdpanther 2 isn't going to one-shot kill me, but he's going to make me wish he had if he hits me. There's the arty, and he takes a punt, misses, I miss him. I don't want to get shot by that Jagdpanther 2. So instead, I think I'm going to go around and ambush that IS as he comes around. And that's kind of what it's like with the Cromwell on a map like this. You're very much a hit-and-run raider. You're setting up for ambushes on targets of opportunity, and then you get the hell out of there. And it's a very, very good tank for doing that. Because it's so quick, because the gun aims so fast. That IS does not have the 122mm gun. That is good to know. It looks like he's using the 85mm. And the 85mm gun on the IS is very much like this 76mm gun on the Cromwell. IS is dead. Now it's time to push in on the arty. We've put the pressure on them. They know they're doomed. Oh, see that big old hit there. Our Carnarvon took. This is what I'm talking about. You've got to think fast. So, follow what happens here. Put one into the gorilla. AMX is turning round. Blow his tracks off, set him on fire, ignore him, finish off the gorilla. AMX-13 burns to death. It's one of the few examples of me requiring, or being required to think quick in the Cromwell and getting it right. And it's why I love the Cromwell, and it's also why I'm not actually that good in it. So only 1300 damage done, but 3 kills, and it was a tier 8 game. So that actually, as far as XP goes, was a very, very good game. And there's the results right there. That was my second class mastery badge. Actually came second on the team for XP earned. And that's because I'm a tier 6 vehicle in a tier 8 game. So all those guys you're shooting at who are higher tier than you get an XP bonus for that. Performance wasn't actually that good. I mean, you saw the replay. I'm not going to try, fool you and say that was an amazing game. It wasn't amazing. It was better than average. But I should be doing better than that. 15 shots fired, 11 hits, 10 penetrations. But 1300 damage in a tier 8 game on Himmelsdorf, for me, I was quite pleased with that result. Now, some of you may have seen parts of this clip before. That's because I've used it in my dubstep tanks video. That's why I only say some of you might have seen it, because most of you see a video with a title, dubstep in it, and just ignore it. So I'm going to show it again. This is the actual gameplay, rather than just elements of the replay cut to crappy music. Again, I'm teamed up with Circumflexes, but we're both going different ways here. We're on Sand River, which I really like this map, and absolutely nobody other than I have gone up to the mountain pass up at the top here. So conscious of the fact that I'm alone up here, but somebody needs to come up here and spot these guys as they come over the ridge, so I've taken it upon myself to go and do that. This was on Circumflex's live stream, and I managed to get a shot into this E4. It's an E4, you don't see many of those. Quite common on the Russian server because you can buy them for gold in the tech tree there, but usually on the EU server you only ever see them as gift tanks that were given to beta testers. Anyway, yeah, KV-1S, E4, SU-85, and I'm spotted. I'm not staying up here alone, and I'm yelling for help, and we're going to get rolled up on this flank if I don't get some support here. Now you can see Circumflexes screaming back across the map over here to back me up, so I'm fighting a delaying action, waiting for him to get here. Gun depression on the Cromwell is alright, but it's not going to beat the gun depression on an easy 4, so I'm not interested in getting shot at. I'm checking my back. We do have tank destroyer support on the ridge, and Circumflexes is almost here, and I'm just waiting. Here he is. Okay, time to make our move. And again, this is another example of how you've got to think quickly when you're driving a Cromwell. And one of the few examples of where I actually get it right. So they're coming around both sides of this mountain pass, and there's only really us and those 2 tank destroyers on the ridge. There's the SU-85. And this is what I'm talking about when I say think quickly. We've killed the easy 4. We think, right, there's just that SU-85 up there. Let's both go and get him. Are you ready? Okay, yeah, we're ready. Let's go for it. Come on then. And then suddenly a wild Covenanter appears. So now we've got to think quick. So I'm going to take a hit or 2. Circumflexes is going to deal with the Covenanter, and I'm getting up here to get around this SU-85. Circumflexes kills the Covenanter, and then between us, lovely teamwork, finish off the SU-85. So we've won the mountain pass, time to exploit it. We're being capped. There's 2 of them there in the cap, but there's plenty of tanks down to fight the cap. And we're going to come round and take care of the guys that are pushing around the southern side of the mountain pass, because again, those 2 tank destroyers on the ridge are doing a great job, but there's a lot of, there are a lot of opposition here. KV-1S. Oh, he's a one-shot kill. And I take a big hit from that T-150. I got us full damage. I'm now on 21 health. So it's up to Circumflexes to take the lead now. And again, and this isn't just the Cromwell. Fast mediums working together utterly destroy heavy tanks. Get a load of this. Ah, you think you're going to shoot me, do you? Oh, I don't think so. and he's dead as well. Now, it's at this, well, not quite at this point, but I do sort of get a bit carried away. We're going to nail this 88, and then we're going to charge down and reset the cap, and be heroes. That's the plan, anyway. Now, the Cromwell is very, very, very fast, but I only have 21 health. Uh-oh. Shit. So, I kind of blew my chance for glory there. But Circumflexes isn't finished in his Cromwell. He's totally got this enemy 88. But the 88 is a very, very tough little tank destroyer, even from the sides and rear. But he's totally got this guy. Oh, and he set him on fire. There we go. So that was a top gun for Circumflexes in his Cromwell, even though he's been ammo-racked and practically lost control of the tank. But hey, we won anyway, so... Yeah, be real careful when you're driving this thing, because it goes a lot faster than you might think, and it can get you into serious trouble, like I just did there. That was just such a derp moment. Oh, it was so bad. But enough of watching me derping around in my Cromwell, and having some great moments, but average to reasonable results. It's time to watch a master at work. This is Circumflexes. I team up with him in his live stream on Mondays. He's got his own YouTube channel. I'll put a link to it in the comments. In the description. He has played hundreds of matches in his Cromwell, and you're going to see, well, just get a load of this. So he's platooned up with Versatonic in his Cromwell and Sir Foch in his ARL V39. We're here on Lakeville. Foch is positioning the V39 to cover the long narrow road along the side of the lake. Considering the narrow gun traverse of the V39, that's actually quite a smart place to put it on this map. And the Cromwells and the T71 are charging into the town. So this is a tier 8 game, by the way, and it's a very, very much a tier 8 game. More than a third of both teams are tier 8s, and we're sitting here in our tier 6 medium tanks, the first into the town, with no backup. So, you know, it doesn't bode well at the start. Circumflex has stopped there to say, tier 8s, please report to the city, thank you. Our AMX 5100 is he's way ahead of us. He's like, yeah, easy, hold on in the city there. And he's coming around. He'd stopped to shoot at anybody that he saw coming down the lakeside road while he was loading up. 5100 has a very, very long reload on its 100mm gun. And Circumflexes has decided, screw this. Hasn't seen anybody coming down that middle road, and the 5100 is pinging the map there. So Circumflexes thinks, right, screw it. And off he goes. Now somebody's had some good spots on the guys coming down the valley on the west. There's lots and lots of cover there. Lots and lots of company there. Speaking of company, whoa, now this could have been bad. Super Pershing driver tries to cut him off, and he's not going to sit here trading shots at close range with the Super Pershing because he will probably lose, and instead he just gets the hell out of there. So he's lost half of his health. But he's through. Super Pershing doesn't know which way to go, and he's round and he's going artillery hunting. Where are you, Mr. GW Panther? Oh, there he is. Now he's shooting for the tracks. Going for those drive wheels. He's trying to blow his tracks off, which is the smart thing to do, but yeah. He never ends up blowing his tracks off, but he puts enough damage in him to kill him while doing it. And now this has really tossed the cat amongst the pigeons. Enemy T71 just killed Versi. The Jagdtiger 88 is coming around to get him. And probably cursing his team. You don't want to be dueling with a Cromwell and a Jag Tiger 88. You're not fast enough. And he's completely cut up in the open, and he knows he's dead. This guy must be cursing his team. I mean, why is he the one that has to go back and deal with the outflanking Cromwell when there's a Panther, a T69 and all sorts up there? But just look at this. This is I'm almost embarrassed for them at this stage. And here's another guy who's going to be cursing his gun. Panther, he does have the L100 gun. It's supposed to be deadly accurate. He hasn't hit. Yeah, I kind of felt like this driving my Panther. And there's another kill. Now bear in mind, he's still spotted at this point. He hasn't disappeared off the radar. That Jag Panther is now turning around. He sees him coming. So rather than drive out in front of him on 350 health, he waits. He's no longer being spotted. Pops around the other side. Bear in mind, when you're on this side of the map at this point, this all it robs you of a lot of your manoeuvrability. This ground here all counts as swampy ground. T69 looks like he's out of ammo. Sucks to be you, bro. Jag Panther's just fired, and he's dead anyway. IS nails him. So, what do they have left? Well, they're all tier 7 or 8. Pretty much everybody in this map was tier 7 or 8. The only tier 6s were our platoon. This is going to be a monster XP gain. Spotted. Oh, T32, T32. Big tank right behind us. But look what's coming up the road. Sir Foch in his ARL V39. T32 doesn't know he's there. Oh, don't want to get shot at by the T32. He does have a big 105mm gun. But here comes Foch for some more surprise butt sex. Hey, surprise, it's me. T32's turning around to engage Foch, and that's just what we need. T32's turret, very, very tough. However, at that angle, shooting through the front drive wheel will not only blow his tracks off, it'll also go into one of the weakest parts of the hull armour. And let's just quickly snipe his commander's hatch, and that's game over. What a match. Let's have a look at the scores on that one. Hells yeah, look at that. Tier 6 medium tank in a tier 8 game. Just totally kicked ass. I mean, look at the numbers there. The amount of shots he fired, the amount of hits and penetrations that he scored. Just, oh yeah, baby. That's what you can do in a Cromwell. So, summary time. I think this tank is amazing. I mean, I said it right at the start of the review, so this is going to come as a surprise to anybody. This tank is fantastic. I love it to bits. It's probably my favourite tier 6 medium tank, and there's some stiff competition in the tier 6 medium tank department. Both of the Shermans at tier 6 are great. The T-34-85 is great. I don't know too much about the Chinese. No, I don't know anything about the Chinese tier 6 medium, I have to say. Possibly it's great as well. It wouldn't surprise me. The tier 6 mediums seem to be fantastic across the board. I love the Germans as well, but they're completely different to these things. This thing is easily my favourite. However, it's not the tier 6 medium tank I do the best in. And therein, and I'm not going to call this the problem with the Cromwell, because it's not a problem whatsoever, but it's an observation that I've made about the Cromwell, and tanks like the Cromwell, in that anybody can pick up a Cromwell, kit it out, drive it, have fun, do pretty well in it. However, if you're really, really, really good, this tank will match your potential. I often find when I'm driving this thing, for example, in a platoon with circumflexes, who's had hundreds of games in his Cromwell, and he thinks fast enough and reacts fast enough to use this tank to its full potential. I do not. Most of us do not. Most of us will do well in the Cromwell. Those of us who can react and think and move fast enough to actually exploit this thing to its full potential are going to do exceptionally well in this tank. You see the same thing at tier 7 with the Comet. When Quickie Baby is driving this thing, he just makes everybody else look like amateurs. And that's why I hate when I'm platooned up on Quickie Baby's live stream and we're both in Comets, I just end up looking bad because he is so much better a tank driver than I am. And when you're in, for example, you know, when you're both driving tier 8 heavies, I'm in a T32, he's in an IS3 or whatever, that you have time to think about what you're doing. You have time in that sort of machine to process information and come to a decision about what you're going to do next. These things move and react so fast that unless you think and react equally quickly, you're never going to drive them to the full potential of the machine. You'll still do well, but somebody who can process information faster and react and come to the right decisions faster is going to absolutely dominate in one of these things. And time again, that's what you see. It's why I love driving this thing, but whenever I'm platooned up with circumflexes and he's in his Cromwell, he just makes me look bad. Even though I'm not actually bad, I'm just nowhere near fast enough to be able to exploit the full potential of this machine. So those of you who are really, really, really good, and there aren't that many tanks in the game that actually fit that sort of category. I'm thinking of stuff like the T71, the Comet. I'm sure there are others, but off the top of my head I can't think of them. There are few machines in the game that are able to keep up with really, really good tank drivers. This is one of them, definitely. Definitely. I think it's utterly amazing, and I just wish I was better, because I would be able to kick so much arse in this tank if I was, but I'm not, so I can't. It's still vastly, incredibly enjoyable, and I'm sure you will have great fun driving this thing as well, regardless of how good you are. But if you're that little bit better than everybody else, this is one of those tanks that you are going to absolutely dominate in. So, as always folks, I hope you enjoyed the review. Take care on that battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.